Do you like heavy textured art that delights as it weirds you out and shocks you? Ever wondered what kind of webcomic Salvador Dali might make? Well, we have your next binge read with Tiercom. The comic follows the Drithers, a government-contracted group of individuals with unnatural abilities tasked with the objective of keeping what is considered society functioning. Caricom is a Drither, but her true objective is fighting. Follow Caricom and her co-workers as they complete nonsensical tasks and battle strange foes in a wasteland. Tiercom, a comic about animals and punching things. Read it now at tiercom.thecomicseries.com. That's TIRKOM.thecomicseries.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin the Bastard. With me this week is Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
It's cold, it's dark, I can't see anything. Where am I? Oh, my eyes were closed, sorry.
Yep, sorry, buddy. That's all you this time. I did nothing. And actually, that's all we got this week. David is out doing socializing stuff.
What a loser.
I know. He could be sitting around talking about crazy crap that doesn't exist or may exist, and instead he's out there like watching some kind of musical thing. It's crazy.
So, going back to the not your fault thing, you do realize that I do not put it past you to kidnap me just to keep this podcast going, right?
That's fine.
I mean, I fully expect one day to wake up and there's just like a microphone strapped to my head and I'm in like a wheelchair in an abandoned warehouse.
You're going to be in Uncle Touchy's podcast basement.
Dungeon. Uncle Kevy's podcast dungeon.
You won't wear a shirt and you'll cry. So, it's the Weekend Weird. Seeing as last time we were on, we did what did we cover last time? It wasn't Dancing Plague, was it?
No, it was Easter.
Easter.
We took a week off. Had to take a week off.
The Wabbit. Yes. Okay. So.
Or did we take a week off? Or was that last week?
We did because it's been kind of hectic.
For everybody.
So, we're going to go into this in a minute, but there's something I want to talk about real quick. This is let's consider this the housekeeping. Mike, you remember we did the Graham Hancock episode of the show?
Not at all. Don't remember a damn thing.
Okay, well, that's fine. You purge that every time we record.
Yes. That's what the alcohol's for.
Yes. Well, it's one of our most listened to episodes. It's got like 500 something listens so far.
I feel sorry for them.
I mean, well, I've always kind of, had some respect for Graham Hancock and his theories because I've read 3 of his books prior to the one I'm working on now, and they've always been like, well, there could have been an ancient civilization destroyed by the Younger Dryas, all that fun stuff. I'm not saying it was aliens, I'm not saying it was Atlantis, all this other stuff. I'm just saying.
But you are.
And then I got to this book. Now, this book I'm reading, can't even remember the name right now, but it was written in 2015 after he started hanging out with Joe Rogan and taking ayahuasca.
So what is ayahuasca? I've been kind of vague on this every time I bring it up.
It's a naturally occurring hardcore psychedelic that's used in shamanistic ceremonies in South America, and it's highly advised that you not take ayahuasca
ever.
Well, unless you have someone there to guide you through the spiritual experience of what is about to fucking happen to your brain.
So what's it come from?
It's a good question. Let's look that up real quick.
Because, I mean, I'm just wondering how different is it from, say, peyote
and psilocybin and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Let's see.
Sorry to spring a question you're
No,
not
hey, that's
ready
fine.
for.
Ayahuasca is a South American psychoactive brew used both socially and as ceremonial
Oh, that's
spiritual
right.
medicine
That's like
among
the-
the indigenous peoples of the Amazon basin. It is a psychedelic and ethnogenic mixed drink brew commonly made from Banisteriopsis caapi vine and the Psychotroia viridis shrub.
Well, Kevin, would you classify that as a strange brew?
God, yes, actually. The other required ingredient is a plant that contains the primary psychoactive DMT.
Wow, so it's like 3 psychoactive substances.
Well, no, it's 2 because the DMT comes from the Psychotroia viridis.
But yeah, wow, no wonder they recommend a
You got to have a trip sitter.
guide / trip sitter. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
mind fuck and a half right there. So when
Yeah.
are we getting some?
I don't know how to get some in the States. It's illegal here. But, I mean, Joe Rogan does it all the time, and obviously Graham Hancock's doing it now, so his whole fucking brain is gone.
It's illegal if you get caught.
Yeah,
Come
okay,
on.
fair. But here's the thing about this ayahuasca thing with Graham Hancock is now he is talking about Atlantis, and before he was talking about like socially and like mathematically advanced civilizations, and now he's talking about antediluvian sperm banks.
Like, what's antediluvian?
Prior to the Great Flood.
So
Like during the Ice Age, this guy came down and told this dude, you need to build a huge underground complex with electric lights and shit, and bring in,
jizz on
animals.
everything.
Give me a second, damn it. Animals, plants, and the finest people in the world, and make sure you don't get anybody with a birth defect, a mental problem, a psychotic, or anybody that's got like a cleft palate or anything. Don't get any of that because, we're trying to rebuild the world, and then I would need you to like scrape their eggs and make them come in jars.
Yeah, that's something they could, just do.
Yeah, because they totally had in vitro fertilization in the last Ice Age.
Yes.
And I want to point out, this is the part where I stopped listening to the audiobook. I was like, oh man, that was kind of crushing to me, Mike.
Yeah.
I had a lot of respect for Graham Hancock, and that all went out the window today.
Well, so I guess you can kind of see that someone in that realm, when that's your job, right? Mm-hmm. Your job is the crazy shit.
You mean like what we're doing?
Well, that's not our job right now. It's a hobby. Like whenever we start actually making a living off of this,
when the money starts coming.
but so you have to continually, especially when you're publishing stuff like that, you continually have to like
Revise your ideas.
one up yourself and sell books. I mean, so us, I don't see it kind of happening because we're just superficially covering this shit, and there's always going to be new shit to cover.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when you're
knee deep
when you're-
in the lost civilization thing.
when you are doing quote what I'm assuming he assumes he's doing primary research.
Oh, no,
on this shit.
no. He never claims he's doing primary research. He makes friends with people that are doing primary research.
Okay, but he's still having to, once you've covered, aliens and all this stuff, you have to sell books still.
Yeah. No,
So-
I get it. I just...
So you just kind of go off the deep end.
well,
and also,
I still blame the DMT.
it's also when you're immersed in this stuff and anything, I guess. And I don't know. So I have a theory about, not even really a theory, but just this feeling about, you see it in celebrities and successful people where, you know, everyone starts, you know, kissing their ass, right?
Oh, this is a huffing your own farts
And so,
thing.
yeah, they start thinking they could do no wrong. So they just get more and more outlandish.
Well, again, this all really started doubling down when Joe Rogan brought him on
yeah.
the podcast and was like, "You, man, tell me about dead civilizations." And he's like, "Yes, I will."
Yeah, well, you know, Joe Rogan, never Joe Rogan.
Never Joe Rogan, not even once.
But
It's like meth.
but at least for, you know, being a guest. I mean, I can understand people recreationally tuning into Joe Rogan, sort of.
I guess. I mean, I know several people that have listened to him, and I can't.
As long as you don't take
res-
him seriously.
I respect these guys, you know, that listen to him, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I just can't stand the dude. So,
Like I said, as long as you don't take him seriously and think he's some kind of like authority on anything.
hey, you remember back in like the 1800s, they had these philosophical salons where everybody would sit around and talk about these ideas and during the day and have philosophical discussions instead of like holding down real jobs?
That was the men of life, man. I tell you.
Yeah, but like Joe Rogan's a guy that would get thrown out because he just didn't pay for enough coffee.
I mean, why can't we have that again?
Oh my God. I kind of think that's what we're doing, isn't it?
Well, but I mean, did they have like day jobs?
I
Did
think
these-
they had patrons that were like, think of something fun. Here, buy yourself a pretty new frock.
I was gonna say we need something like that, like someone to, you know, pay us to just say stupid shit.
Now, that being said, you can donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/supernatural selection pod.
Oh, we need like Bill Gates or something.
He's too busy
Well, you know what I mean. I said
people.
or something.
Or something.
Like,
I
come
know.
on, Elon Musk. You know, just throw us like, you know, $100K a year to just say stupid shit.
He's doing that for free, man.
He finds that in his like couch cushions.
That's
like,
it's
under
like
the
that
seat of his Tesla. He's probably got like, you know, just 100 large.
Yeah, it's like that picture of Puff Daddy courtside counting money. Sorry, P. Diddy. I don't know what name he's going by anymore. But he's sitting there at courtside counting $100 bills, and there's like a 10 in there, and he's looking at the 10 like he's never seen that low of a denomination dollar before.
I've never seen that before, but
he's
God.
just looking at it like, what the fuck is this?
That's, oh man, that hurts me in the soul.
I know. Well, that was a good cold open.
Having grown up, you know, I'm just to say it, poor. Pretty much poor.
Yeah, poor.
Kevin and I both pretty much grew up not like dirt poor. I mean, like not going hungry poor, but
Peanut butter mayonnaise sandwich hungry for me.
oh yeah. I mean, but still like, you know, not
Oh, yeah, no. I know.
not middle class for sure.
No. If it was middle class, it was low middle
it was,
class.
No, it's definitely upper of the poor class.
Upper low class.
Yeah,
We were kings of filth.
pretty much. So anyway,
Yeah. But,
should put a little violin music in over that part. Just-
I should put the laugh track in. Gosh.
no, too real. Hey, too real.
Sorry. So, this week we got some news stories. We're going to cover that. David's not here, so we're not going to have X-Gun give it to you. We don't have any questions this week, so we're just going to raw dog some news. So, Mike, I'm going to go first.
Sure.
This one I'm just bringing up because the title. Mm-hmm. Probing Uranus is top priority this decade, U.S. science advisors say.
Well, you know, we don't know a lot about Uranus.
Well,
so
you're
might
not
as well
going to find
probe
out a lot.
Probe the hell out of it.
Yeah, probe Uranus. New report covering the next 10 years of American planetary science and astrobiology concludes that a Uranus orbiter and Uranus orbiter and probe should be the quote highest priority large mission. This decadal survey from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine is intended to shape funding and research efforts through 2032. So they're really hankering to get to Uranus, Mike.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the kind of you know, what would you call that? Survey and stuff that shapes, you know, national science policy for stuff like, you know, our space telescopes and the Mars missions and stuff. So
well, I mean, that's what it said, yeah.
Is looking at, you know, what do we not know? What do we know the least about in, you know, all of our
in the solar system and whatnot?
Well, no, not even that. I'm sure they have like Earth sciences portions of this and all, but this is just the, you know,
right,
space part. Survey of astronomical goals.
Yes. I mean, it's neat. I mean, that's pretty fucking far out there. It's going to be when they... Oh, wait. Okay, there's more here. The case for Uranus was made by a team led by Mark Hofstadler, a planetary scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, in a white paper. And Mark Hofstadler, I've heard that name before, you know?
Yeah.
That team concludes that the main goals should be to investigate the composition and structure of Uranus, the nature of its magnetic field, how its internal heat moves to the surface, and specifics of its atmosphere, moons, and ring system. As previously reported by Gizmodo, Uranus smells like farts.
Well, it's right up your alley, isn't it?
I just love that, first off, Uranus smells like farts.
So I don't think it does, really. So, yes, it has a lot of methane on it.
Did you say methane?
Methane.
Methane?
Yes. Either ways, you know,
I'm
works.
sorry, I didn't know we were in London.
But it's also very fucking cold. So if you know how in winter you can't really smell much. No. Yeah, it's so cold your nose would just like frost off and fall off and you'd die. Be dead. Yes. Yeah,
because no oxygen.
Yeah, so I think, isn't Uranus the one where water ice is so hard it's like basically the rock? It's like rocks.
Yeah. And also, isn't Uranus the one that's tilted with its ass toward the sun?
Yeah,
it rotates rings, in a weird way.
Its rings basically go, if you're thinking about
top,
the solar
bottom,
system,
instead of left to right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird one.
So I'm pretty sure they would be interested in finding out if they can find out why that is. I mean, there's some speculation that it was like smacked once, you know, big old collision.
Yeah. I bet it was Nibiru.
No, sure, why not?
Because them lizards. So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of a fun thing to start with because, you know, who doesn't want their anus probed?
If I remember right, also, I think it's speculated that all of its moons, or at least most of its moons, are large captured bodies and not, you know, traditional moons.
Okay, so it's all like asteroids and crap that got caught. Okay, neat.
If I'm remembering right, because I, you know, read something earlier.
Okay,
when it's first released.
Yeah. Okay, somebody needs to go to the planetarium and get like a little children's book about Uranus that has information. So
yeah, just as long as it's not a thing about anuses.
Yeah, well, that's a different site.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what have you got?
So the first thing I have, so, you know, we always study things that happen before.
Yes.
You know, so this is news that just came out about something that happened in 2014.
Ooh.
But it's the first known interstellar meteor hit Earth in 2014.
Oh, I heard about this.
So, yeah, so pretty much every other meteor we know about that if we collected has been something, you know.
Yeah, like from the asteroid belt or Mars or something.
But this was an interstellar meteor, so it means it has the Andromeda strain.
Oh, we're going to die. But wait a minute. 2014.
Yeah.
COVID hits 2019.
But this was Papua New Guinea.
Oh, okay. Not Wuhan.
So it crash landed January 8th, 2014. It doesn't say if it was in the ocean or not, but it somewhere near Papua New Guinea.
Mm-hmm.
The meteor was determined as interstellar from beyond the solar system by Amir Sinraj in 2019. Well, this, you know,
that was his name, Amir Sinraj?
Yeah.
Okay.
But a student at Harvard University,
Right.
but now it was confirmed. Obviously.
Okay.
And
Had to get the science on it.
wrote about it, published it, peer reviewed it, and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Then it gets published in a known scientific journal.
Yeah. So
Now,
that's
how did they determine it? Was it like just loaded with helium-3 or what?
let's see here. No, it's basically the velocity. It said that the velocity estimate reported to NASA is sufficiently accurate to indicate an interstellar trajectory.
I would have assumed it had like some kind of like weird,
It doesn't sound like they actually
not like
recovered it.
Okay.
So just by the tracking of it, that they were able to determine it was interstellar.
Had Matthew McConaughey in it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's neat. I didn't know you could figure out, like, how fast would something have... What's the difference in speed when it's coming from outside the solar system? I just don't know how...
So it has to do with orbits. So if something...
The gum?
Yeah, no. So if something... I don't know the numbers here, but... So
they're pretty fucking big.
So if you think of... So if you were to launch a rocket from Earth, once you hit a certain speed, it hits, becomes escape velocity.
Right.
Which means it will never come back to Earth.
Right.
So it'll go into basically a solar orbit.
Uh-huh.
If it keeps accelerating, it'll hit escape velocity for the sun.
Uh-huh.
Which means it'll never come back to the sun. So basically it came into the solar system at a extrasolar velocity.
It was booking it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it was going so fast. The only place it could have come from was outside the solar system. Because if it was in the solar system and going that fast, it would just shoot out of the solar system.
And it was probably going fast enough that it just like slingshotted around the outer planets.
No, actually, it's going so fast. It's probably going so fast that So when you're going escape velocity, your speed is basically greater than the speed necessary for an orbit. I mean, it will. Gravity will affect your trajectory, but it'll never cause you, a slingshot maneuver, because a slingshot maneuver is when you go around a body, and basically it's kind of like a very long orbit.
Right.
But it would bend its trajectory, but it will never do a slingshot because...
Well, I'm sorry.
Because it's just going so fast.
That's what I meant, but I got the terminology wrong. It's not bad.
Yeah. But more than likely, it's just, a beeline. And it also sounds like this is the first, but there were 3 others that were found to be extrasolar. So it could just be like a galactic version of a, meteor cloud. Because, when the Oort cloud, not the Oort,
yeah, it's the Oort cloud. That's the one around the solar system.
Well, no, not the Oort cloud. But the yearly... meteor showers we get.
Lyriad?
Yeah.
Which is tonight, actually, Mike.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But those are basically, small clouds of material that we go through every year.
So you're thinking it's...
if there are 3 of them within kind of the same span, it could be, a galactic version. It's obviously a lot more diffuse because only 3 of them have been... confirmed to have hit Earth. And also they're going so fast, that's probably why they didn't find anything, because they probably just burned the freak up.
Interesting hypothesis here. What if that's what happened at Tunguska?
Well, Tunguska was an airburst.
I know.
Was it extra?
It could. It was. They said it was moving fast enough to build up enough air pressure in front of it to cause an explosion. And I'm like, well, that sounds kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah, but the velocities we're talking about, even an intrasolar velocity is enough to do that with a sufficiently large object. I mean, it's not impossible, but I have not seen the the inference whether Tunguska was a solar body or an extrasolar body.
Yeah, that's true.
Could have been either.
I haven't either. And the problem is there's so much friggin' material on Tunguska, it's hard to see what's actual science and what is Tesla using a death ray or like a spaceship crashing. Because there are people that hypothesize it was Tesla testing a death ray. And I'm sitting here going, that's no, he was testing opium at the time, most likely. Just a guess.
So the last paragraph of the article is saying, you're currently investigating weather emission to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Manus Island in the hopes of finding fragments of the 2014 meteor could be fruitful or even possible. So, depending on its size, its speed was obviously pretty great. And so just because it's escape velocity, velocity, just because it's that fast doesn't necessarily mean it's a lot faster.
It's just enough faster.
Yeah. So, you're not talking orders of magnitude faster. It could be. This article does not specify its.
And by God, we are not scientists.
Oh yeah, no. I've just played, some Kerbal Space Program. But
that
just depending on its
in today's world, Mike, that counts as a degree. Don't sell yourself short.
No, I mean, I'll say I did not understand how orbits worked before playing that game. I wish there were more games that would teach you fundamental
sciences. Well,
fundamental things that are not otherwise hard to teach.
Yeah,
like. I've seen people that say, I understood the math behind orbits, but until I played Kerbal, I didn't understand the
actual physics of the thing.
Well, not even the physics, just the intuitiveness of it. Knowing the math is one thing, but, being able to see how your change in velocity affects an orbit is, pretty eye-opening. Like,
right. So, that being said, go ahead and play Kerbal.
Yeah. I should do more of that.
Sure. So, I've got another story.
Yeah.
This is from Futurism.com. I don't think I've got a single story this week, by the way, from Mysterious Universe.
Oh, could be good.
Yeah, sure. Futurism.com. Story came out Tuesday by Noor Al-Sibai. Scientists say there may be a species of hobbit-like humanoids hiding on an island. These include reports of sightings by more than 30 eyewitnesses. Now,
were they identified by their love of second breakfast?
Yes. So it's been, I'm going to quote the article here for a minute. Mm-hmm. It's been nearly 20 years since bones of a hobbit-like humanoid species were found on the Indonesian island of Flores. And according to one researcher, there may be more than ancient bones. In an essay for the Scientist magazine, retired ethnobiologist Gregory Forth describes why he believes Homo floresiensis, as they were called by the famous late anthropologist Mike Morwood when he found the Pleistocene era bones on Flores in 2004, may still be alive and well in the forest of the island. Now, of course, as soon as they discovered these things and the fact that they're about 3 feet tall, everybody started calling them the Hobbit. Started calling them hobbits.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, everybody said that the stories of these tiny men persisted with the tribe from memories of them having wiped the species out several thousand years ago, which I'm like, I'm willing to give cultural memory, a chance and everything. But this guy says that the local tribe called the Leo have described encounters with a diminutive creature which he believes may be one and the same as the hobbits. He has reports of sightings by more than 30 eyewitnesses, all of whom, he says, I quote, I spoke with directly, and I conclude that the best way to explain what they told me is that a non-sapiens hominin has survived on Flores to the present or very recent times. It also says, though he leaves the physiological details of his purported purported uncontacted humanoid species to be read in his book. Fourth does note that the Leo people find the ape man's appearance as something incompletely human, which by his estimation is problematic and disturbing to this indigenous group.
So we're talking not like little people.
Well,
We're talking like something that sounds more like a hominid monkey.
it sounds kind of like little Bigfoots.
Little feet.
Littlefoot's, yeah. Not from the land before time, but it is still a human relative
Well,
because it is a homo.
Well,
It has enough. The bones that they found are of a hominid species.
it's not. So we have had this happen in the past with typing fossils and stuff, where turns out they were just convergent evolution. I mean, it doesn't necessarily.
No, yeah, like the crab thing.
Well, no, not the crab thing, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of species that look like other species and used to be thought to be on the same branch, but they weren't when it was actually when we were
Right.
able to, sequence their genomes and find out, oh, they're really not that closely related.
Yeah. Well, if you look, I just sent you a Wikipedia article, and you can actually see the skull, and that is a fairly human-looking skull.
Yeah, well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe they're related to humans. Maybe they're weird little monkey dudes.
Early species of Homo and a sister species to Homo habilis.
So they say, but
But yeah, no, it's interesting. It sounds like a cryptid to me. What it actually reminds me of, from that description, it reminds me less of the Hobbit people and more of the Orang Pendek.
just this weird little dude.
Yeah, no, it's like a weird little monkey dude that's too human to be an ape and scares the shit out of people because of like Uncanny Valley. Which I still maintain that the Uncanny Valley is a holdover from our species dealing with other hominid species.
I think the Uncanny Valley more is about, not touching dead things.
Maybe, but I can't. I just feel like you're
I
primitive.
don't-
You're in the woods. You see something that looks kind of human, but it's not human. And you're like, ugh.
No, I don't think we had enough contact with other hominids to
Mike.
be that ingrained into our bones.
Mike, there is Neanderthal DNA in the human genome. We fucked those guys.
Yeah, but then we weren't afraid of them, were we? We
No.
saw them, we're like, hey, those are sexy.
That is weird.
So
Actually, let's not mince words here. I'm pretty sure the Cro-Magnon. I'm pretty sure the Neanderthal was the aggressor in that situation. Basically, Fred Flintstone found Judy Jetson.
no, it could have been consensual. You don't know.
Sure, why not?
They're like they were the prehistoric version of furries.
Well, this just got weird. But I find it fascinating. I mean,
Considering that both species, as far as I know, were fairly tribal and family oriented. I don't think it was like alone, unless it was like one group captured a single one and like forced him to be their like rape slave.
I hate that word.
I know,
But,
I do too. It's pretty icky.
Yeah.
But what else would you call it?
I don't know, but like I picture like there's this one Neanderthal that's like Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
We're all descended from him.
But yeah, so not what were we talking about again?
We were talking about the Hobbit people.
Oh yeah, so the Hobbit people. Yeah,
I kind of feel like it's a weird ape.
Did they find the gold ring?
What?
Hobbits, don't they all have gold rings?
No. No, one had a gold ring. Two had a gold ring. Three had a gold ring.
But it was the same gold ring, so they shared it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. But no, not at all. Not at all. I just kind of feel like what they're seeing is the Orang Pendek, which is a cryptid that is language-wise related to the orangutan, but different because it's more human, and villagers hate them.
I think you're making too many assumptions.
Sure, maybe, but I mean, I'm siding with you saying that it's like a little monkey dude. All right, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm actually agreeing with you for once in that it's.
I mean, 3 foot 7 inches. That's like the height of a freaking chimp standing up.
Sure,
That's not that tall
or
short.
Guess.
Maybe,
Still,
it could just be like, I mean, I don't know what normal monkey species they have, but it could be something that's like a chimp that has that thing where it doesn't use its arms to walk anymore.
oh, that disease, like a bad back or something.
Yeah.
It's like unloaded a truck and
Maybe
starts walking around.
Damn it, Kevin.
What?
Our bad, humans with bad backs. It's just genetic. That's why we walk upright, because our backs are terrible.
I can't argue with that at all.
We started walking upright not for any grand purpose. It's because our ancestors had shitty backs.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to agree because I know mine's hurting right now.
I mean, I have to admit, in all of if humans are designed,
It's a shitty design.
the
in a lot
worst
of ways.
design of all is our backs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anybody that doesn't have at least some back problems. And it's also the weakest point of our shit because it's easy to fuck up your back.
Oh yeah, man.
And it's always fucked up from that point on.
Do monkeys get bad backs? Do great apes get bad backs? That's a question I've often wondered. Like, do you ever, like a silverback gorilla, is he ever like, oh God, I shouldn't have tried to lift that Toyota or whatever?
Probably. I mean, other animals.
Those bananas.
I know pets get bad backs, but is it just because we have the want to get them checked out, and the doctor say, oh yeah, your dog has a bad back?
Or is it because we fucked him up through breeding?
Yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah.
Do wolves in the wild get bad backs?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. We may have to do some research into that.
Maybe.
Or we could just forget about it.
Hey, what were you talking about again?
Hobbits.
Oh, hobbits. Good on them.
Yeah, good on them.
Hopefully, they had a Samwise to help them out in their trek to the volcano.
I've actually got a theory about the hobbits from J.R.R. Tolkien, but we're not going to get into that. I want to talk about it later.
They found them sexy?
No, we talked about how, they're smaller and, they're harder to see now and they're itty-bitty, and I'm like, he's talking about the Fae. He's saying that the hobbits, actually, they're gnomes. The hobbits are gnomes now.
So Middle Earth was Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it was prehistory England.
And the hobbits are just now
Gnomes. Yep.
And so they stand in gardens with pointy hats.
Sure. Why not?
Okay. Well.
Yep. So what else you got, Mike?
So how about Russian Russia? We start over again.
Yeah.
You can leave that in though.
Okay.
How about Russian Cold War Russian cybernetic telepathy?
What?
So
you just did you develop aphasia?
Yeah, apparently I did, because that first take was terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
But 3 newly released CIA reports from 1963 and 64 investigate the Soviet Union's apparent use of extrasensory perception and attempted development of, quote, cybernetic telepathy.
What is that like? All right, Yuri, what are you getting? Well, I can get I can tell that the microwave does not like being used.
So So this is a long article. I'm not going to read everything about it.
Yeah,
but,
sum up.
so basically what they were using is, well, they cybernetics, but this is the 60s. So cybernetics, how cybernetic were they? Were you just like sticking wires in someone's head?
They made them lick a 9-volt battery, is my guess.
So one of the things they were claiming to do was a Russian scientist, D.A. Kurmanov.
Is this the guy that cut the dog's head off and sewed it to another dog? Because fuck that guy.
But he described one experiment where researchers in the USSR were able to, quote, tape the central nervous system signals of a man playing piano and then broadcast those messages back into the arms of another person who had never played the piano before. And the quote from him is saying, that person would then be enabled to play difficult music, but also would retain some of this skill as permanent learning, Kurmanov claimed. When pressed for further detail, he could not provide it or refer to publications.
So what you're saying is that basically they record some dude's nervous system while doing something, plug it into the back of another guy, he looks up and goes, I know Kung Fu.
No, I know piano.
That's the only, I guess that's the only thing they managed to do is, so they turned a human into a player piano.
Sort of. So apparently someone was working on telepathy. Kurmanov claimed that Vasilev had been able to demonstrate very strong extrasensory perception with certain subjects, but only certain persons are capable of receiving the, quote, waves.
Oh, God.
The agent said in his report. Some of the ESP in which Kurmanov admittedly believed involved not merely guessing events, but the prediction of future random events.
Mm.
I like how we both went.
Yeah.
Made funny sounds.
So this is interesting because you know me, I listened to the last podcast. They talked a lot about MK Ultra recently. Interesting story. The Russians put out a lot of false information about working with telepathy and psychics, causing the United States to believe they had a telepathy gap. So they started funneling money into psychic research.
So that seems to have happened a lot during the Cold War. Like the Americans always seem to think that the Russians were
ahead of them on something.
It went both ways too. So a famous example is the space shuttle.
Oh,
the Russians saw the space shuttle because it was a very public.
It was a huge PR campaign.
Well, it was a public project, so therefore the Russians could see what was going on, see how it was built. They were pretty, like, even the dimensions and everything were pretty public knowledge.
Yeah,
so the Russians took all that information and thought the Americans must know something we don't. So they built a version of it. They built their Buran, and they tested it. And they came to the conclusion that this is ridiculous. I mean, I love the space shuttle. I grew up with the space shuttle.
Oh, God, yeah. No,
I love the space shuttle.
did.
I have all kinds of, like, not a lot, but I have, just growing up, I'm
looking at 3 Lego space shuttles right now that belong to you.
The space shuttle was kind of my hero in a weird way.
No, I get it. I totally understand, dude.
I will admit the space shuttle was a boondoggle.
It was.
I mean, it didn't get the space it needed to, the opportunities it needed to become a more successful project. But as it was way too heavy, it had design constraints put on it by both NASA and the Air Force. So it was heavier than it needed to be. It had capabilities it never utilized.
Oh, really? Like what?
So the big wings on the space shuttle are for what's called cross range, which is the ability to, glide long distances.
Yeah.
That was envisioned originally to say if you're coming in and your original landing zone, something's wrong with it, or you wanted to glide a longer distance, well, those wings would give you that possibility. But in practice, it was never used because there was never, it was just never needed. But the Air Force, that was their thing. They was like, we wanted to have this great cross-range capability. So a completely civilian space shuttle could have had smaller wings in a different configuration, which would have made it lighter and have more payload capacity.
Right.
And just stuff like that. So that is an example of the Russians doing the same thing, that they thought, there was a space shuttle gap. They copied us, spent a lot of time and resources, and found out, oh, it's bullshit. It was a decent vehicle, but it didn't do anything that they weren't already capable of. It didn't add capability that they needed, so they just abandoned it.
Right.
Same thing with, this cybernetic stuff. It looks like we knew about it in the 60s, looked at it, and...
Yeah. Well, I haven't told you the best part about the whole psychic warfare thing, did I?
Yeah, what's that?
Well, they put out papers saying, we're doing this psychic experimentation stuff. America's like, shit, we better do that too. And then Russia looked at what we were doing and they're like, fuck, now there is a gap.
Feedback loop.
So they start doing it too. And then everybody kind of around the same time realized, this is bullshit.
Yeah, because, I can't imagine what we were doing with 60s level technology was, I can't even believe anything they're saying in this article that they claimed to do.
No.
Like recording, someone playing the piano.
We can't do that now.
Yeah, no, we're just starting to be able to tap into every,
In all fairness, you're reading a Vice article.
Oh, yeah, it is Vice. But, it's the source they're citing, which is these released 1960s CIA reports, have interviews with these Russian scientists, and they're claiming this stuff was being done.
Still maintain this was a smokescreen to get the Americans to waste money on something.
It could have been, but also you have to understand how the Soviet party ran.
Results are your shot.
No. See what? So sort of, but there's also this kind of like mini fiefdoms where.
Are we talking about within the Russian government,
yes,
the Soviet government?
Yeah, it's like you're closely guarding your little acorn, your little nut. Nobody can get your nut. You got to make sure nobody can touch your nut.
First off, that's disgusting. Secondly, this reminds me of the Japanese military during World War II.
Yeah, so you got your thing. Of course you're hyping up your nut. You don't want your nut to look, less glorious than other people's nuts, but you don't want anyone to touch your nut.
I don't want to touch anybody's nut, Mike. I'm sorry.
So you have a situation where you've basically oversold your nut, and when the government the big bad communists come to like check on your nut, they're like, oh, you don't have a nut there. You just have like nothing.
You have nut stain.
Yeah. So it's just this. The whole Soviet system has this whole, and we're even still seeing it to this day, that even in Russia, they still have this whole distrust of everybody that makes everything so dysfunctional that it's just...
Yeah, it's the whole... Every department is out for themselves, and there's no communication. It's like back in the old days when, like, there'd be a criminal, and like none of the police departments talked to each other because they wanted to have the arrest.
Yeah.
So there was no kind of cooperation between departments.
Yeah, and you see that to this day, even in, quote, former Soviet Russia.
Right.
Well, where we're hearing reports coming from the Ukrainian invasion, that the same shit's happening. Nobody's talking to anybody else.
So it's like, it's like two armies stumbling into each other in the night, but they're on the same side.
Well, not even that. It's just like they just aren't sharing information. The different elements of the Soviet army, I say Soviet, not Soviet, the different elements of the Russian Federation army aren't trusting each other, aren't informing each other. Therefore, they're just weaker. Whereas you think of like the American military, they don't really believe we operate this way, but sure, there's some rivalry between the different branches, but the army together considers themselves a brotherhood. They, an army guy on the battlefield meets another army guy, they would die for each other, even though they've never met before.
Yeah, it's battle brothers. Yes.
Yeah. So totally. That, as much, as kind of weird as that is, that strength there and that, camaraderie,
that's important.
Is important, and it's definitely a weakness of the Russian how they do things.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely a problem.
And I didn't realize. I thought that was just a Soviet era thing, but this is brought it to the attention that it's still ongoing.
Well, when you got a former KGB guy basically wishing it was still the Soviet in charge, you get some shit like this.
And it's funny. He must have really hid that because what's his name? Yeltsin
totally
tapped him for it. And Yeltsin seemed like a very, progressive guy.
Well, Yeltsin was also a drinking guy.
Well, yeah, but he, he realized that before I read a story just the other day, before the Iron Curtain fell, he was in America just doing stuff, and they decided to go to a grocery store. To just go to an American grocery store, at random, without any kind of, just on the way to the airport,
right.
Stop off at a grocery store. They walked into the grocery store, saw what an American grocery store looks like, and they're like, we're going to lose. There's no way we can beat this because
they have food.
Because, it was just there.
You can just walk up, grab it, buy it, and go home. Yeah.
If you're in, hopefully, I don't know how far our listeners' reach is.
Shockingly far, Mike.
But in I'm assuming any even European grocery store, it's just food everywhere.
There's stuff.
And we take it for granted. Like, even in the height of the pandemic when, now, there were shortages, it was still...
Venezuela's pretty fucking bad right now.
You can walk out with food, but and he saw that and realized, it wasn't staged. It was one they picked at random, so it's not like
they were doing that basically so they could be like, well, they won't be able to set it up, and we'll get to see how bad Americans have it.
If they had asked their American, tour guides or whatever, hey, let's go see a grocery store. Of course, they're going to take them to the set up, fully stocked grocery store. But when he realized that everyone in America is like that, it was like, no, we can't. We've lost.
Yeah.
And then like 4 years later, I think, is when it fell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and there's a lot of people listening that are young and they may not remember this because, I mean, like, when we were growing up, like, you'd hear about Soviet Russia and, like, you'd see stuff on the news of people in line at an empty fucking store that just got some bread, not even sliced. We're talking about just some shit hard ass fucking dwarf bread. And they're like in line because that's your fucking food for the week because some bread showed up. It was nightmarish.
Yeah, and even so, we live in the South, so there's a lot of hurricanes and stuff, and we've had times when we've gone to the store and they've been just
be a run on fucking
slapped
bread.
out of everything. You slap out of certain things.
Yeah, like your fucking milk sandwiches and
rat of
shit
milk,
like
rat
that.
of bread. But I have never been to a grocery store and not been able to buy some food.
Yeah,
which that's definitely kind of
now.
A first world problem.
At the beginning of the pandemic, it got kind of bad, but it was still, you could buy fucking food.
I could buy food. I mean, there were weirdest thing was toilet paper and paper towels.
Which I still, man, there are some motherfuckers, and I hope to God they're sitting there staring at their toilet paper going, why'd I do this?
Oh, no, there were definitely reports of people that were hoarding and expecting to, like, turn for a profit. Paper products.
Yeah, I just hope they're fucking, man, fuck those people.
Yeah. But anyway, so... Yeah. I lost it.
Yeah, we were talking about Russia and the whole...
Yeah.
Yeah. Russia was... Let me rephrase this.
Okay, so yeah,
the USSR was all appearances.
USSR. So I did have a thing. So Kevin, when the USSR fell, it was a very surreal moment. I don't think I could even process it for several years. Like it just didn't seem like a thing that could happen.
Yeah, no, it was. And like I remember when it happened, one of my friends was like, "Well, who's going to be the bad guys in the movies now?"
Yeah,
I was like, that's a really good fucking point. Because, I mean, who's James Bond going to go up against now?
Yeah.
I guess China.
For decades. What, that happened in 94, didn't it?
Yeah, somewhere in there's in the 90s.
I'm pretty sure it was like 94 or something like that. But yeah, when it happened, so that was probably around, we were in high school. And it just didn't seem like, they had been trumped up, not trumped up, but like you said, the USSR had been the bad guys for so long.
Oh yeah.
It's like if Darth Vader had died halfway through the first movie.
Yeah.
It's like, what now?
Yeah. What? Yeah. What? And I mean, like when it happened. I mean, it's one of those things that had been there our whole lives. I mean, that's like, Mike, there are still times, and if you're out there listening, this is like a big time clue as to how old me and Mike are. There are times I'm still like, holy shit, there's only one Germany now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, for when we were growing up, there was East and West Germany.
East and West Berlin. The fucking wall went right through the city. Oh, the Iron Curtain fell in 91?
Yeah.
Shit.
It was like December of
Holy
91.
Crap. God, Mike, we sound like a Billy Joel song.
Yeah. No, we're definitely.
Yeah. But like, I still, there's times where I'm like, there used to be two fucking Germanys, man. What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
There was good Germany and bad Germany, and neither of them was very good. I remember comedians when the fucking Berlin Wall fell and East and West reunited into just Germany, and this one comedian was like, I don't like this. When Germany was one country, not a lot of good shit happened.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that's a good point. But, yeah, so we've reminisced. I've got one more story.
Sure.
All right. This isn't actually a story. This is something I discovered today. I found a image, those iceberg images.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there was something called the CERN ritual. And I was like, what? Because, Mike, you know CERN. You know what CERN is.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of conspiracy theories about it. The CERN ritual hoax, according to Wikipedia, which the fact that there's a Wikipedia article on this, is a found footage video that depicts a supposed occult ritual occurring on the grounds of CERN. And it does appear to be on the grounds of CERN, a European particle physics research organization. The video shows several people dressed in black cloaks surrounding a statue of the Hindu deity Shiva, and then apparently stabbing a woman in human sacrifice. The video ends with the person filming crying out and running away. The video became popular in August of 2016. How I missed this, I don't know. Buoyed by many existing conspiracy theories concerning CERN. CERN later stated in its FAQ that the video was fiction and the actions violated its professional guidelines. let's see. The video caused controversy both by creating mockery of existing theories and by fueling existing conspiracy theories about CERN activities. Given that the ritual was performed in front of a statue of dancing Shiva / Nataraja, some believe the ritual was satanic in nature. This further fueled theories that CERN's goal was to use the Large Hadron Collider to create either a portal to hell, to summon the Antichrist, or just fucking plain old destroy the universe.
Oh, yeah, might as well.
So I looked up the video, and I've never seen such an unnatural stab.
So what do you think? It was just like a bunch of drama majors or something?
I think it was a bunch of, I think some guy knew some folks at CERN, convinced them to let it do a prank video because all the conspiracies, they thought it would be funny, and it wasn't, is what I think happened. But I kind of feel like
it's just outside, so it doesn't even necessarily have to, well, I guess have to get on grounds, but
and they have to set up that Shiva statue. Like, doesn't CERN have fucking security?
It depends on what you're talking about. CERN, it does this say exactly where it is?
No.
So, there's definitely different locations. I'm sure around even the LHC, they probably have different, because it's like a large radius, so you can't fence off the whole area. So I'm sure they have, clusters of buildings situated around that,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You know what this really makes me think, though? I'm so glad flash mobs aren't a thing anymore.
You think they're not a thing.
Well, I hope they're not a thing. How's that?
That's not really, I don't know. Seeing that quote-unquote statue.
Well, if you look at in the video where the camera moves around more, you can see that it is a statue.
It's obviously a standing piece.
I know, but like the statue, when the camera moves around it more, you see that it is actually a statue in the circle. It doesn't look like it from that screenshot. But anyway, the point is, I kind of feel like we should do an episode about CERN at some point in the future because of this.
I'm concerned.
You should actually. That's going to be the name. Concerned or concerned, and we're going to talk about the various conspiracy theories involving CERN.
Yes.
So, have you got any other articles?
Sure, why not? I got a little lighthearted thing. Well, not lighthearted because it's sad, but it's also funny.
Oh boy. Okay, what you got?
Well, it's kind of two things, but a story and then a happy resolution for it. But
good.
Dog is dumped at North Carolina shelter because owners said it might be gay.
What?
So,
it's a dog. They're all gay.
Fresco, described as a 4 to 5-year-old dog of unknown breed, was recently dropped off at the Stanley County Animal Protective Services in North Carolina. I'm not even going to try to say that. Albemarle, North Carolina.
Albemarle. Albemarle? Sure,
that
why not?
Sounds southern as fuck.
Albemarle!
Yeah.
That's my nephew's son.
Yeah. The reason, Fresco apparently humped another male dog, and the dog's owners assumed that the canine was a gay-nine and didn't want him around, so they left him at the shelter.
Well, fuck those people.
So, but the good news is, in a later article, the gay dog was in fact adopted.
Good.
And, the dog is probably not more or less gay than any other dog.
Every dog will fuck anything.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. If you see your dog fucking a boy dog, you know what? It's done it before, it's going to do it again. Just saying.
Dogs will fuck things such as legs and...
seals.
Stuffed animals.
Cats.
Cats.
Rabbits. Doesn't matter. Well, it'll eat a rabbit, but because you never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine.
But yeah,
anyway.
So
yeah, well,
gay
good.
dog.
Good. I'm glad the dog got adopted. That's good. You were right. It's sad, but it has a happy ending.
Yes.
So I got, we're not doing X Go and Give It To You because I just don't want to go to 4chan. But let's have a high strangeness moment before we close out. All right?
I'm not high, so.
Well, I am on Reddit in r/high strangeness, which is explorations of the paranormal, UFOs, ancient cultures, cryptozoology, consciousness, futurism, fringe science, anomalies, animal mutilations, and instances of high strangeness. So, this show, the subreddit. So, let's see. Now, I'm paraphrasing the title because it's spelled real bad because we're on Reddit. I had a friend no one seems to remember, but I swear she was real.
What?
Just to start this off, and you comment during this as much as you want. Just to start this off, this is one of the few memories I have that truly cannot be explained, capitalized explained, next to one other, which could be its own post alone. I was about 5-7 when I knew a girl named Savannah. She was a small girl. Okay, Savannah's not capitalized, girl is capitalized. She was a small girl with bright red hair and beautiful eyes. I can't remember the color. We were best friends for a long time. We would play with all the kids in the neighborhood, and we would hang out all alone at the times as well. I have vivid memories of us sitting on her capitalized front porch, just talking and eating ginger suckers or lollipops. She was very small and was sick a lot to my memory. But one of my last and favorite memories of her was one winter we had literally played for capital hours, and we made a Winnie the Pooh snowman. Then she just disappeared. And I mean that. No one knew what happened to her.
Her name was Poochie.
She died on the way to her home planet. My mom can't remember her or what happened to her. My brother doesn't remember her. And I have lost all contacts with the kids who might remember her as we moved when I was 10-close to 9 years ago. I swear to God's, plural, she was real. I can describe to you what she looked like, what her mom looked like, and her dad. I have tried off and on for years to find out what happened to lowercase Savannah, but at this point I am at lost. I will list this now. I am severely dyslexic. I do not edit these posts as it can take me a long time. I was recently diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Okay, so when you said the dyslexic thing, I was like feeling bad for hating their writing.
I was too, because I did not pre-read this. I was recently diagnosed with schizophrenia, so maybe it's all in my head, but fuck it, felt real, capital real, and the memories feel real. I don't think he's dyslexic, I just think he's a shitty writer. I think he has internet speakism.
Oh, I don't. I think it just sounds like it's bullshit, but that's just me.
The whole thing does, but I just wanted to get that
Even
out
the
there.
dyslexic part.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's dyslexic. And also, the thing about high strangeness is there's a rule. You cannot ridicule anyone in this forum for any reason.
Yeah.
First response. Just because your family doesn't remember doesn't mean she wasn't real.
Just because nobody remembers anything ever doesn't mean it's not real.
Next one is, memory's a funny thing. It's not reliable. It's more easily influenced than we like to think. And then explaining why they're wrong. Or maybe she slipped into an alternate dimension. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know, but...
So in my venturing for new stuff, I found a weird thing. It's super short, so...
Okay.
But apparently, due to an obscure law, jazz has been banned in New Orleans schools since 1922. They just recently found out because nobody read that law, I guess.
Wow, in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I know.
like, man.
Jazz and dancing.
And
So-
oh wow, New Orleans is technically the town from Footloose.
So when I went to a elementary school dance and danced, I broke the law.
Yes, you did. You broke the law, and if they play jazz music, you were double fucked.
But of course, just like everything, said the policy was, quote, rooted in racism.
Of course it was. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
So I guess that's it for this week.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to add, Mike?
Not really, I guess.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. Don't forget, you can find all the information about this crazy crap at supernatpod.rocks. If you would like to advertise at the beginning of the show, like our more recent sponsors, you can hit us up on our Twitter at supernatpod. And me and David will get back to you as soon as we can. We have really enjoyed doing these ads. But yeah, join the Discord. We have not had many new people hop in. You can head to our website. There's a link in the top menu for the Discord, so check it out. I guess that's about it. So, Mike, again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And
You're welcome. Something like that.
Froylaven.
Yes.
So we will see you guys next week. Until then, stay fresh, cheese bags.
I don't know. It sounds less natural when you say it there.
Yeah.
It sounded better when you said it earlier tonight.
Stay fresh, cheese bags. Yeah, no. Stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
That's your sign off. It's not mine.
Nah. We'll
You know-
workshop it.
You know, not thumbprint.